And it's one of those stories, Patrick, to me, that was really interesting at the beginning of the year because you had a Netflix documentary that came out at about the same time when the NCAA's infractions came out. But now Michigan officially saying, hey, let's put this one to bed.
Yeah, and I think it's a little bit interesting that they did withdraw their appeal to the NCAA, which kind of tells me, it's like, all right, there's so much noise going on about this. It's finally time that, hey, maybe we'll just admit, hey, we were at fault. The KGB, as we like to call it, as Connor Stallions likes to call it. It's been 2 months since that's come out.
Right.
That he called his little network the KGB, and it still cracks me up every time.
I know,
me
too.
I mean, this guy went to such great lengths.
Yeah, he did.
To go
it's actually impressive.
It really is.
Yeah. And I know we have a kind of a list of some of the ways that this crew was cheating. This KGB, the network of people. In case you've forgotten, over the past few months, this has kind of quieted down. 13 opponents over 56 times. There were advanced level scouting, which involved sign stealing and so much other things. They bought low-level tickets to several different games for their opponents. They filmed their signs with burner phones. They destroyed those personal phones. The KGB, if you're not familiar, that is basically the Russian version of the CIA. So basically like a nice play on words with the overall gathering of intelligence. And I know a lot of people will look at that Michigan national championship in a different light for a lot of different reasons, and I don't think that this will take care of really any of that. But this does seemingly, in my opinion, kind of make it to where it's not going to drag this thing forward, because to me Michigan's appeal was ridiculous because there was so much mounting evidence against the Wolverines.
So much against the Wolverines, and honestly it felt like the appeal was just trying to prolong the process that was just going to happen regardless. I think that the evidence was stacked so far against them that there was just no coming back. And honestly, at this point, you could just take your punishment. You can move on. Now you can move forward to this year. They've got a pretty good team this year with Bryce Underwood at quarterback. But now you can finally put this to bed. I will say I am a little bit shocked that the NCAA didn't vacate that national title.
Yes, me too.
I mean, that's definitely a topic of controversy. And just the fact that I believe it was $30 million that they were
in fines. That's right.
Yeah.
Yep. $30 million in fines. But I think you mentioned it. I think one of the biggest things that really came out when this whole first story, was it was outed to the world in the formal sense, because this has been whispered about for a long time. But when it came out in the formal sense, one of the big things was, are you going to go take that national championship? And now it looks like that national championship will stay as it is. The NCAA will recognize it from here, to the end of time, as Michigan was the champions that year. So it kind of felt ho-hum in the moment.
Right.
And this feels more, not really ho-hum because it looks like Michigan will put this to bed, but it does feel like, okay, what was gained out of all of this? I mean, it feels like a lot of talk, a lot of chatter, but at the end of the day, really nothing happened.
To me, it feels like this was just a slap on the wrist. I'm sure we've already talked about this, but when you look back at some of the things that other programs have violated in regards to recruiting and stuff like that, and they've had wins stripped from them for recruiting violations. Right. These are in-game sign-stealing violations, and that can easily change the outcome of the game.
100%.
The recruiting outcomes, it can sort of change the outcome of the game because of, in the future, you just have better players, stuff like that. But when you know exactly what is coming, it's honestly hard to lose.
Right.
I mean, you saw this national title didn't get vacated. And then you look at the MLB, the Astros World Series ring didn't get vacated.
That's right.
Even though it's always going to have that little asterisk next to it. This one's going to have a little asterisk next to it.
I know. And I wonder if some of this is just the NCAA. For the longest time, the NCAA went after programs and took away championships, and it felt like we were always still saying, yeah, but in our minds, this wasn't the case. I'll give you an example. This is not apples to apples. But Reggie Bush, for example, when they took Reggie Bush's Heisman Trophy, they said, okay, you're no longer the Heisman Trophy because you accepted things that are all now 100% legal. I think at the time, when they took the Heisman Trophy, there were so many people, myself included, that said, I know what my eyes saw that football season. There was no better player in the country outside of Reggie Bush. So no matter what the NCAA does or no matter what the Heisman Trust does, I still consider Reggie Bush the Heisman Trophy winner for that season. And I wonder if it was the same thought process here, that everybody saw Michigan, go out and win those football games, and they still say, okay, well, since Michigan is already going to crown themselves national champions, we've already seen Auburn give themselves 8 or 9 championships. It almost seems the NCAA is giving up, saying that, we're not going to play moral. We're not going to be the moral superior in the situation. We're not going to say that we are the moral superior in the situation. We are just going to go ahead and let you keep your national championship and let others draw the mindset as they will, as far as how it relates to that 2023 team.
Yeah, and I feel like nowadays it's just such a gray area, because you've got, as you mentioned, Auburn 2 months ago claimed some national titles.
Right.
Alabama also claimed some more national titles. So it felt like Michigan was always going to claim this national title. Mm-hmm. I mean, you hate to admit it if you're a Michigan hater.
Right.
After, they just ran the ball 50 times and called it a day and somehow still won. You knew it was coming every time. I'm still kind of shocked that J.J. McCarthy has an NFL job right now, even though he's hurt, because all he had to do is hand it off to Blake Corum 50 times a game. And, I mean, you win a national championship. But, I mean, I guess whenever you have Harbaugh as your head coach, he's doing pretty good right now with the Chargers, but, I mean, he is never coming back to the NCAA.
Oh,
and
for
he has
sure.
No reason to.
He has no reason to, and I think that was another kind of the domino effect, maybe the ripple effect of this whole thing. One of the last rungs of the domino effect, one of the last tipping blocks, so to speak, was the fact that they both got 2-year show causes. Both Sherrone Moore got a show cause, as well as Jim Harbaugh got a show cause. But like you said, Jim Harbaugh's not going anywhere. He's going to stay in professional football. He's already won his national championship. Yeah. He's going to try to do now what Jimmy Johnson did and what Pete Carroll did, to go win a college football national championship and go win a Super Bowl. And now that the championship's intact, what's the reason to come back to college football? He's got nothing else to prove on that level.
No, I mean, there's literally nothing else for him to prove at the college level. Now he's taking a chance here at the NFL level, and I think you and I were talking about this. I would not want to take a chance in that division.
No, it's going to be hard. It will be hard.
Tough.
Yeah, it will be hard. But I think in the AFC, I think if you have 10 wins, 11 wins, you are at least a wild card.
Right.
And I mean, I guess they'll just roll the dice and hopefully hope that they don't face the Chiefs early on in the playoffs, so that they can keep it rolling. But no, that is a very tough division from now moving forward for Jim Harbaugh and company. So he'll keep his ring. Another thing I quickly thought of, I'll just mention this just quickly here, is the Fab Five team that went to the Final Four.
Yes.
For Michigan back in the day, and I forgot who their coach was. I could see his face, but I can't remember his name. But they took the banners down. Yeah. And I remember the NCAA stripped them of that, took the banners down, but everybody in their mind still said that was one of the best teams. They didn't win the national championship. They did not. But they made the Final Four. And I think a lot of people still see them as a Final Four team and one of the best college basketball teams to ever play. And I think this kind of falls in that same realm. A good team that we saw play going into this year. That was a Michigan tie-in. That made me think of that when they were keeping their championship. The banner probably staying around there in Ann Arbor for that Final Four basketball team there in that same arena there in the University of Michigan. We were talking about Sherrone Moore earlier and having a 2-year show cause. There's another question around Sherrone Moore, if he will even be the head coach at Michigan coming up next year. Your thoughts on just where this program is with him right now?
See, I feel like my tone around it has changed a little bit in the last few weeks. Yeah. I think, going back to when he stepped in for Harbaugh for those 3 games during the national championship run,
right.
And he cried after the first game. And I thought, I was like, man, who is this gimmicky guy trying to be? Like, you're trying to play hero. I mean, I don't even think they played anybody good. I think it was. I think it was Michigan State, but Michigan State hasn't been good in years.
Right.
So I don't know now, because you lost to Oklahoma early in the year, but that was almost a guaranteed loss because, you had Bryce Underwood making his second ever start and first start on the road. The thing that kind of threw me for a loop was the USC loss.
game, yeah.
And I feel like that might be one where, Michigan fans, they're not patient.
No,
especially with the success that Harbaugh had in his later years.
Yep.
And now that they've gone on to rattle off a couple more wins since the USC game, I think in my opinion, as long as he keeps beating Ohio State, he's just going to keep the job.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I mean, that's kind of where it is at this point for me.
Absolutely. And I think it's the same thing. I think this year, maybe not last year, but a few years ago with Jim Harbaugh, there was some growing frustrations with Jim Harbaugh before they won that national championship, and it was kind of along those same lines, as it couldn't get over that hump and couldn't win that big win. I remember they restructured his contract, and there was just a lot of things that went around. And I wonder if this has the same arc. To me, I don't know if it will or not, mainly because I think a lot of people tie Sherrone Moore's success to Jim Harbaugh, and it's like, well, when Harbaugh's guys, quote unquote, are not in the locker room anymore, this last wave of guys that were on that national championship team, will this still be the same team? Will this still be the same coach to lead these guys forward? But you mentioned it, they lost to USC, but they're on 2-game winning streak right now. We've seen Northwestern, they basically got a coach fired when they beat Penn State.
If you want your coach fired, just go ahead and play him Northwestern. But I mean, you look at the schedule.
Yeah.
They should have zero problems with Purdue.
Absolutely.
Shouldn't really have a problem with Northwestern. At Maryland, Noah Gross says Maryland will play well for the first 3 quarters, and then Michigan will probably score 35 points in the last quarter, and then the game to end the year.
Yep.
The game, which I think if Michigan wins out on this these last 4 games, I just don't see why you can't put them in the college football playoff. Which
right.
I'll pose that question to you.
Yeah.
Is Michigan a college football playoff team?
If they win out, for sure. If they win out and they finish the season with just 2 losses and they're and one of their big wins on the resume is against Ohio State, it will be hard to put them out. Now, they would probably still have to perform well. I don't know how the Big Ten will shape up, but I think they'll definitely be an at-large team. And I think if you're looking at 3 teams out of the Big 12, 3 teams out of the SEC, a team that beat Ohio State will be hard to get them out of there unless they have 3 losses. So that's where the rest of the schedule comes into play, because they cannot afford to lose another game. Every game on the rest of their schedule is just like we're talking about with Tennessee, just like we're talking about with Oklahoma. They have zero margin of error no matter what happens in that